What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another review. This time we're taking a look at El Camino, a Breaking Bad movie. And this basically follows the story of Jesse Pinkman after the events of the Breaking Bad series. We see Jesse Pinkman pretty much where we left him at the end of the series finale, driving away from the compound where he was held captive by Jack and his crew. So overall, I thought El Camino was a pretty good movie. I don't really have a whole lot of bad things to say about this movie. I overall enjoyed it for what it was. It doesn't really justify its existence, to be honest with you. Didn't really tell an interesting story. It just pretty much ties up whatever loose ends Jesse has. Basically, this movie we just see Jesse as he's pretty much trying to escape and get out of New Mexico. He just got out of captivity. Now he's just trying to get free of the authorities and everything else in between. Yeah, there's not really a whole lot to this story. This movie could have been easily condensed into a episode of Breaking Bad, to be honest with you. It kind of stretches out its runtime a lot. And like I said, the story itself, it's not really all that interesting. It does tie up a couple of things here and there with Jesse as a character. We do see the aftermath of what happened with him after he escapes the compound. He sees Badger and Skinny Pete, and he pretty much takes refuge with them for a little bit before he kind of makes his way. This movie has a lot of flashbacks, which fills in a lot of gaps. Some of the most prominent flashbacks deal with Todd, who was Jesse's rival in season 5 of Breaking Bad. We see that there were moments where Todd took Jesse. We see this one flashback where Todd pretty much uses Jesse to help him clear of a murder that Todd committed by killing his cleaning lady, and he also shows Jesse where he hides his money in his apartment. So when Jesse breaks free, he goes to get all this money. Of course, he has to evade two people who are posing as cops, who are not really cops, in order to get the money. Because basically Jesse is just trying to, like I said, he's trying to get out of New Mexico. And this brings in Ed, played by Rod Forster, who's in this movie, which is always good to see the late, great Robert Forster. And of course, this movie is his final acting role. And not a bad way for your final film credit to be something related to Breaking Bad. Especially when you're a character that I thoroughly enjoyed in Breaking Bad and I'd love to see more of. And I got to see more of it. And Robert Forster, as always, is great. And I like his character of Ed. We get references to Heisenberg and we get references to Saul. So pretty much Jesse is trying to do what Walt and Saul did, which was get a new identity, get a clean slate. Because Jesse pretty much wants to take refuge in Alaska. At the beginning of this movie, we see a flashback with Jesse and Mike as Mike talks about wanting to go to Alaska. And that's where Jesse ends up at the end of the film, actually. But to get there, Jesse has to tie up a couple of loose ends, which he ultimately does. And like I said, this movie is fine for what it is. I wouldn't say it's garbage or trash. It's not a horrible movie whatsoever. You do have solid performances. Aaron Paul as Jesse Pinkman kills it. With the seeing some Breaking Bad alum characters is always fun, like Old Joe, like Mike, like Badger and Skinny Pete. We get a Bryan Cranston, Walter White cameo at the end of the movie, which was pretty cool. He and Jesse share a little conversation in a diner, which is a nice little scene. We also get an appearance by Jane at the end of the movie while Jesse's driving on the roads of Alaska. We also get some closure with Jesse. Well, we don't really get closure with Jesse and his parents, but they do make an appearance where Jesse pretty much kind of lies to them and say, hey, maybe at the place where we used to have a picnic. Of course, prior to that scene, his parents were on the news pretty much encouraging Jesse to just turn yourself in. So yeah, you got all that good stuff. Like I said, this movie, there's nothing really happens in this movie that's worth interesting. It just ties up Jesse, just continues Jesse's story for the most part. Ties up a couple loose ends. We see what happens to him when he escapes the compound. We see the things he went through and had to do in order to get, the money to disappear. He had to deal with one of his demons by killing a welder named Candy, who was present during Jesse's time in captivity at the compound with Jack and his compatriots. And it was this welder Candy who pretty much almost killed Jesse in a prior scene while he was posing as a cop, until Jesse kind of got his way out of it by showing Candy where Todd keeps his money and that's where they did a three-way split and things like that. So yeah, that's how that came about, and he tied up that loose end by killing him off in a Mexican standoff, which is actually a pretty cool scene between the two when they're at Candy's little garage thing and they're like doing a little Mexican standoff. It's had a nice Western feel to it. Then again, Breaking Bad always had a modern day Western feel to it. So, that was a pretty cool scene. I enjoyed it for what it was. And Jesse outsmarted him by thinking he was going to grab his pistol, but he used a second pistol that he had hidden and got Candy. And Candy's friend also. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. I don't really have a whole lot to say about El Camino. I'm not going to say I was disappointed with this movie, but it did leave me feeling empty. Like, after watching it, it's like, there's not really much of a story here that I really wanted to see. Like, this is not what I had in mind when Jesse was escaping captivity. I mean, yes, Jesse wanting to go to Ed to disappear, to indeed disappear, that I would figure happening, but all the events leading up to that moment, I don't know. It's not really all that interesting. Again, does that make it a bad movie? Absolutely not. Does this make for a memorable movie? Not really. This movie is quality. You can watch it. You're not going to get bored with it. It's got entertaining moments. I do really, really like the scene with Ed and Jesse. It's a nice scene to put together. Just seeing Jesse beg Ed to take him, and Ed just be like, nope, 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 nope. So I kind of like the chemistry with Robert Forster and Aaron Paul in that scene. It's a great scene. I like it a lot. I like the cameos in this movie. Like I said, it's always fun to see Mike again. Always awesome to see Heisenberg, and and the stuff with Todd and filling in kind of filling in gaps with him and giving Todd's and Jesse's rivalry a little bit more substance to it. That stuff is pretty cool too. Seeing some more stuff at the compound that we didn't see throughout the show. That was always fun to see. And all the references and Easter eggs was fun too. But again, as an actual story, not really. It's very basic, very bare bones to begin with. It's pretty much Jesse on the run trying to get out of Dodge, and that's pretty much it. So yeah, overall, I'm gonna give El Camino a solid. I'm gonna give it a 7. Yeah, I'm gonna give it a 7 out of 10. It's a solid movie, though it doesn't really add much to the Breaking Bad mythos. It does bring closure to Jesse Pinkman's character in a way, but pretty much leading up to the final half of the movie, it's give or take. It's entertaining at the list, but you ain't gonna remember much of it when it's over. So yeah, those are my thoughts on El Camino, a Breaking Bad movie. Let me know yours in the comment sections down below. Do you like it? Do you hate it? I would like to know. Like the video and subscribe, and I'll check you back next time for more.